I am going to just briefly introduce myself. So, yes, I'm a coach. I relocated 4 times. Originally, I'm from the Netherlands. In 2009, my husband and I moved to Singapore. We stayed there for almost 3 years. That was really a transition in my life where I had to let go of a really wonderful job in the Netherlands, start up in a place where it wasn't that easy to work in that same field of expertise. And so really finding other ways of developing myself. And that's, I think, just a really great experience. So now, having started up multiple times, I decided to further specialize in a way that would allow me to work wherever we live. So I'm grateful to work online and remote at this moment too. I organize TEDx events. I find it really important to be of support and give people voices, to empower and them and have their voices be heard. In my free time, I love to play tennis. I love to dance with friends, and I love great fruit. And as you can see, preferably all at the same time. So enough about me right now. Let's have a better idea of who you are, and let's warm up and get used to sharing. So please use the chat and share your name, where you're calling from, perhaps the number of relocations, anything you want to share there, and perhaps also if you would like what you'd like to take away from today's workshop.
And I'm monitoring the chat for you, Saskia. So
Yes, that would be great. And just a comment also, we will be using the chat multiple times. At certain moment, I will ask you if you're willing to share. You never have to, but if you want to, you can use the functionality called raise your hand. And that's to be found on the bottom of your screen. So what's the name of the button we use when raising our hands? Reactions, right?
Yes, it's reactions.
Yes. Okay. So just in case.
so far I'm seeing um, Vinita. I think Vinita's dialing in from Asheville, North Carolina. Anka's from Redmond, 2 relocations, Romania to Netherlands, Netherlands to US, and she volunteers with We Are Pistachio, and she's looking for positive energy from this workshop. We have Janneke, welcome. She's relocated from the Netherlands. And she's here permanently. We've got Henrique, who's also moved from Netherlands. Manisha from New Jersey, second relocation. She loves the community and she loves giving herself time.
Great.
Kirti, two relocations. Pallavi, Joy, from North Bend, Washington, has been a digital nomad. She's hoping to get positive event of self-growth and community. And then Sylvia from Seattle, relocated to Netherlands.
I also know there's someone who cannot type right now, and that's Bhavna.
Okay.
So we can represent you, Bhavna, because it's super cool. Bhavna is currently donating blood while attending the workshop on self-love. How awesome is that? Can I share that? I thought it was so awesome.
And we've got Varsha from Redmond, relocated from India. She's also a pistachio volunteer and she's looking for positivity and optimism. Pallavi said she's looking for more energy. And Sabine is from Netherlands, moved to Seattle, and then she's moved back in Jan 20 to Seattle. So lots of chat coming in, Saskia. And Ashwini from Bellevue.
Yeah, and I hear positive energy, more energy, giving yourself time is what some of the attendees already are doing. Others might benefit from. So let's move on and let's have a look at the ingredients for our self-love recipe tonight. So in this session, you will learn ways to have more love for yourself. And we will go over a few exercises and leave the session hopefully with a full heart. with ways to apply some of these techniques, as well as a keepsake to stay with you beyond our session. Then we will plant seeds. I absolutely want you to enjoy the flow and just enjoy it. It's going to be beautiful. You'll be amazed at what you will show yourself today. We're going to use different perspectives. Choose a bird's eye or hot air balloon view. And then there's the mirror icon, as you can see here, which means you looking at yourself with softer eyes. Now, let's go into our first exercise. And for this part, you need your mirror. So, or you can use your phone camera on selfie mode. So that's a great alternative if you did not bring a mirror. And this is meant to be done quickly. So you can switch off your video and mute yourself if you want. And I will switch off my video. And now take a moment and please look at yourself in the mirror, or look at yourself in the camera of your phone on selfie mode, and make eye contact with yourself and say to yourself, I love you. Now let's try that again and look at yourself. See if you can look yourself in the eye and say once more, I love you. And if you want, you can switch on your camera again whenever you feel ready and share via the chat what showed up for you. Like what did it feel authentic? Did you feel connected to the words you were speaking? How was it to make eye contact? Did you manage to, or did it feel maybe superficial? You just like, there we go.
Getting some comments. It was hard to say, a bit weird. It made me tear up. It was funny. I smiled after saying it to myself. I love doing it. Very connected. Oh my God, what a beautiful feeling. It was very hard to say it. I felt connected. It was hard and then made me think why I don't do this more often.
Yeah, beautiful. And so diverse, right? The way we're able to look at ourselves and speak out these words. I've tried also, and yeah, it's something you can actually practice. And we can be very harsh on ourselves. And when we look at ourselves, all sorts of thoughts show up, all these emotions and judgmental thoughts. And you might look at yourself, see wrinkles or gray hairs, and you know that if we can let go of that judgmental voice that lives inside of us, and look to our and see our purest being, then it's such a great place to access empathy. And as I like to call it, to learn to look at yourself with softer eyes and notice what kind of voice is showing up and how to transform that to a more friendly voice. No worries, you don't have to be successful in doing this at this very moment, but I'm going to take you through a couple of exercises to familiarize yourself a little bit more with that place that is deep inside of you. And next, we are going to move into a visualization and choose another angle. So for this photo, this is where you need your childhood picture. So you can also use a mirror again, or that camera on selfie mode later. Also, it would be great if you have a piece of paper and a pen at hand. And I will give you instructions along the way. So now, if for reasons it's hard to envision yourself in the first part as a child, then you can also think of another child. So if you notice that it pulls up a really uncomfortable feeling, you don't have to go there. You can think about perhaps your own child, or even your dog or your cat. That's completely fine too. So feel free to switch off your video and mute yourself. I'll switch off my video so you won't be distracted by me. And we will first go back to a scene where you are happy and where you can see the beautiful essence of you, to get in deeper contact with self-love. Now have your eyes closed if you wish. Have your head be straight. Have your feet be flat on the floor. Have your spine be relatively straight. And have your chest be open. Feel your feet on the floor and try to find as many of your toes if you can and wiggle them. See if you can find all of your toes and let go of any thoughts you might be having. Now bring your attention to your sense of touch by rubbing two fingertips to each other with such a tension that you can feel the ridges on each finger. So rub two fingertips to each other with such a tension that you can feel the ridges on each finger. And now gently rub the fingertips of one hand to the fingertips and the palm of the other hand. Let go of any thoughts you might be having. Keep commanding your mind to come back to this sensation. If it wanders off, don't worry, it's totally normal. Now notice your breath and the rise and fall of your chest or stomach with each breath. Take another breath. And notice the temperature of air as it enters your nostrils and exits your nostrils. Now visualize yourself in a scene where you were a happy child. We want you to be that original true being. Happy being yourself. Notice the setting. Is it indoor? Maybe outdoors? And notice if there's anybody else in the scene. And notice their face, physicality, or anything else. Now notice yourself in the scene. You are radiating with your true spirit. You are happy to be who you are. Notice your eyes, face, hair, your body. It is the beautiful being you are meant to be. What are a few words or adjectives that describe this beautiful being that you are in this scene? Now have the adult version of you enter the scene and interact with this child version of you. Whatever feels right and natural. This child version wants to tell you something. Listen to what your child version wants to tell you. And as the adult version of yourself, what do you want to tell this beautiful child? Now, the child version wants to tell you and show you how to be like that again. How to reclaim some of your original true spirit. This child has a gift for you that embodies the essence of who you are. Let this child version of yourself give you this gift so you can remember it. Receive that gift and see what it is. And thank your child version. Now embrace your child being. This beautiful being becomes one with you, because this is always a part of you. Feel the presence inside of you and notice how it affects the way you feel in your head and face and eyes right now. And allow your eyes and face to shift. Have it affect how you are holding your head. Feel the attitude, the essence. Feel it in the way you are holding your hands and arms. Feel it in your chest and stomach and feel. Breathe. Feel it all over your body. Notice where the essence of this beautiful being lives most. And if you wish, put the hand on the part of your body where this beautiful being lives and anchor. Feel how that feels to be back in touch with this beautiful essence that you are. Now, only if you have a childhood picture, open your eyes and look at your childhood picture. And as you do, look at this beautiful essence that you are. And if you did not bring your picture, continue to keep your eyes closed, continuing to envision your child being and observe. Notice that this being is worthy of unconditional love, does not need to work for it or prove anything for it. This beautiful essence and you are giving this being the unconditional love. You are the only one who can do that, and you begin to do that now. Notice how this being is worth of unconditional love. Maybe you notice this for the first time. Notice the beauty of who you are. You are born as unique as your fingerprints. You are special. Remember this, and remember your childhood picture. What are some words or adjectives that describe the essence of this being? Now, for those with eyes closed, you may open your eyes and please gently look at yourself in the mirror or via your phone in the camera and find the same unchanging essence in yourself now. Find the same unchanging essence in yourself now. There is a good chance that your saboteur thoughts try to sabotage you. Look at your wrinkles, your gray hair, pointing out what is not right instead. Look at your eyes and the essence, not the superficial stuff. Can you see your essence look back at you? Look into your eyes and see your true self, worthy of all love. Feel the love, unconditional love. If you cannot, it means that your saboteurs are fighting you. They're looking for conditions that are not met. But your being deserves unconditional love. And I want you to remember who you really are and move from brutality to self-love. That is not selfish. That will enable you to give more love to the world. Notice what are some words or adjectives that describe this beautiful being you are. And put I am in front of this. Who are you really? I am. What are some qualities that describe your essence? So for the next couple of minutes, I will be silent and I ask you to look at your picture or look in the mirror or write. And please have an I am statement that you can remember. And whenever you're ready, you may return to our session. And now observe without judgment. Can you see the essence in me? I've not changed. My essence, or as I'd like to say, my sage, has not changed and has never changed. And hopefully you will be able to see that in yourself. And for some people, it takes a while. So please be compassionate with yourself and see each experience as an opportunity to grow and to be with it. And just remember that your true self never changes, and forgive yourself for being imperfect, and you are worthy of unconditional love. So where can you put the childhood picture so that you can remember what an adorable person you are? So putting the oxygen mask on yourself first is not selfish. You might know that expression. And at all, please share your I am statement in the chat if you'd like to. Just restate and reaffirm that I am statement. And while you are using the chat, we also would love to have one or two people, if you want to, an attendee share their picture and their I am statement. So if you are open to that, you can raise your hand and share with us what showed up.
So I'm not seeing any raised hands yet, but I'm seeing a couple of statements coming in. Saskia, I'm fearlessly happy. I'm content. I'm enough. I confidently stand out. I am blessed. I'm blessed. A couple of repetitions for that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, what becomes possible if you bring more of this essence to your work and to your life? And the best version of you is your true self. So you will be happier and more effective. So the tip I have for you is also to have this photo, your childhood photo, close by, and find a way to connect with this pure being that is you, worthy of love and unconditional love. And something you might consider is to create a screensaver or a wallpaper on your phone, or yeah, have it be on your laptop so you can remind yourself every now and then of who you are.
Yes,
Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
just there's some more coming in. I wanted
Yeah.
to. So I'm Sunshine. Uh, Rita says she realized what a carefree kid she was, and I am kind. I'm kind. I'm full of love. So lots of beautiful statements coming in.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for being willing to share and to being willing to go into this visualization, which is just another way of accessing self-love. So I'd like to have you experience and see what kind of exercises also land well for you. So this is also just trying out some ways, right? So now while we entered this beautiful mind space of feeling empathy, we're going to take this one step further. And in this next exercise, you will write a love letter to your future self. And I know it might feel a little awkward, but let me tell you this. You know best what you need to hear, right? So for this next step, you will need a clean sheet of paper or a postal card you brought. Or you can even write your letter online via futureme.org. And perhaps we can paste that in the chat, and it will then transport you automatically to an online space where you can start typing in something, select a date, and on that date it will automatically be shared with you. Now, if you choose the old-fashioned way, use paper, postal card, all is fine. So you will get 8 minutes to share with yourself anything you could see be included in your love letter. Don't worry too much about the time and cherish whatever comes, because your hands and your heart will know what's really meaningful to you. So you'll know just what to say, and I will let you know when we still have 2 minutes to go. And if you don't finish this letter right now and you need more time, of course you can continue writing it until it's fully done after the workshop. But let's get you started. Then I am going to quickly shift gears. So in this letter, of course, first start with a way of saluting yourself, a way that feels good to you. So give yourself a salutation that makes you smile. Use the pet name that makes your heart feel young and gratified, or maybe your grandmother always called you Dolly and it's your most preferred term of endearment. I really like that one. Now don't call me Dolly from now on. So that's a suggestion. You can share a treasured memory. So welcome yourself with a treasured memory and begin. Do you remember when you, and then detail it with imagery of the event. Recall the sights, the feelings, and the sounds associated with the memory as you bring yourself back into the warmth of it. And for example, I remember when I got my first coaching session with one of our attendees here, Janneke, and she's here tonight, and her way of sharing was so open and really allowing me to be there as a starting coach. And it felt like an anchor, giving me permission to take myself seriously as a coach. And this memory is a wish on a falling star come true. And I delight the reminding. So whatever you see to include, here are some prompting questions. And of course, you can also include, well, and I go back. I am revealing too much. Your I am statement. Of course, you can include that. So if you're ready, we have 8 minutes. So whatever your time is, when it's 44 in your zone, that's when we will wrap your letter off. So. 2 more minutes to go. And it's time to wrap up the writing for now. Again, don't have this limit, anything you want to share with yourself. And I'm very curious to hear, how was it? And anything surprising that showed up for you? Was it easy or difficult, or did you notice that you started to get into a flow? In any case, after, oh, I see there is a response coming in via chat.
Yeah, a couple of comments about, yes, getting into a flow for sure. It was hard to stop writing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, please, it's because of the, yeah, and you don't have to follow the template, just go with the flow. These are prompting questions, but for the sake of the flow of tonight's workshop, we will move forward. But again, continue to pick up that letter, and anything that's shared there, I know are words from yourself, heartfelt words. And after all is said and all your love is shared, fold this letter into an envelope of substance and address it to yourself in a way that lets you know that the contents are both secret and extraordinary. So you could say, to the girl who alone can read my heart, or whatever you want to write on it. And if you choose to send it the old-fashioned way, then you can send your letter to me, and I will post it back to you at a later moment. So you can send this letter and add an extra addressed envelope plus an extra stamp and share it with me. And then I will send back the unopened envelope to you at a random moment. So the address will be shared via chat. So send all your love letters to me and I will send them back on a random day sometime over the next month. And ideally, you have forgotten by then about this exercise and are in your regular flow of life. So you really feel surprised by it, pleasantly surprised. And if you opted for the digital way, if you haven't done so, you can select the date in the field online and hit submit. Now, are there any questions about this part? And if not, we are going to go to our next exercise, and let's have a conversation again with yourself. Let's do a short check-in, and please, once more, pick up the mirror or flip open that camera and please mute yourself if you haven't done so yet. If you want, you can switch off your video if that makes you feel more comfortable, and then hold the mirror in front of you and look at your beautiful self. Or if you have your childhood picture at hand, you can also choose to look at your younger self, or imagine this pure, loving, kind child that's inside of you when you look into your own eyes, and merge those two. So I invite you to look at yourself and then repeat the following words. I invite you to say the following words while looking at yourself, making contact with yourself. And that is, if you carry one thing with you today, let it be this: you are brave, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are smart, you are loved. And whenever you're ready, you may switch on your camera again and share with us in the chat who wants to share. What was it like for you to speak out these words to yourself? And maybe even that step before picking up the mirror and looking at yourself again. Is there anything that you'd like to share? And whatever it is, it can also really help normalize particular experiences for the other attendees. So anything I see, oh, it made me smile.
I think, Saskia, it made me realize how much we need our own encouragement. So yeah, just made me realize that.
That's beautiful. Really getting present to how you can give yourself that encouragement.
Saskia, we're getting some comments in the chat. I'm not sure if you're able to read them yet, or if you would want me to kind of read them.
No, maybe you want to share some of the comments that show up.
Yeah. So made me smile, felt different, much kinder to myself this time around, and the notes to self were so encouraging.
Glad to hear. Yes.
And one more, that it's so easy to get stuck in your head, and this exercise reminds you of yourself.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so then is there, we didn't really reflect on that visualization, the exercise where you connected with your childhood version. So I'm actually also curious to hear what that experience was like for you. So besides the I am statement, what was it like? Were you able to observe yourself?
So we have a question in chat. Varsha wonders why we don't get stuck in a positive loop versus a negative loop with ourselves.
It's a great question. Yeah, you wonder why. Yeah, why not? And I think there might be a purpose in experiencing negative emotions. And I think that's also looking at the experience of fear, which is often rooted underneath those negative emotions, can be there to prevent us from getting hurt. And so if you would put your hand on the hot stove, that's always an analogy I really like, feeling the heat and feeling the pain is very functional. But then the question is, how long are you going to keep your hand on the hot stove before you're going to do something with it? And what we often don't realize is that there's a lot of suffering over particular functional, initially functional negative emotions. But the question is, what do you do with them? How do you turn them into a gift or an opportunity for learning? And the more you're able to see that there is maybe a negative loop, the easier over time it becomes to shorten the time you spend suffering. You notice, and then in a split second, you already could be knowing that this is, there's something you might need to learn better to deal with, or, particular skill you can teach yourself, or not overstepping a feeling and having compassion for yourself or empathy. But I love that question. It is, why not flip it around and struggle with the fact that we never experience negative feelings? Is there anyone else that wants to reflect on that or has a thought? Because I also really think that we have so much collective knowledge. So if there's anyone who wants to respond to that, feel free to do so. I'm so curious after your childhood photos. Anyway, then I hope that you really enjoyed these exercises. And
Yes, Saskia, I think Yanake is showing her childhood photo, and maybe I'll spotlight her if that's
yes,
okay.
I love that.
All right, I've just spotlighted her.
Oh, that's so adorable. Thank you for sharing that. Yay! So who's next? Anyone? No? Okay. Then I want to then spend this moment also to reflect on some of the takeaways at this moment, and where, reflecting on your self-image, connecting in new ways to feeling love and empathy for yourself. You've now started writing a love letter. Maybe you already finished it. Maybe it's something you're going to finish. And please make sure to post it, have it be posted. But I want to share with you also that if you want to learn more about how to increase your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive mindset rather than getting upset and stressed, there is a mental fitness program I offer. So as you will be guided by daily exercises via an app, 80% of this program is really muscle building, and which means doing. So the other 20% is through a weekly video and our group sessions. And part of the success in that muscle building, which also means building up that muscle of self-love and empathy, is that you will not be doing it alone. And just as we are gathering today, if you work together in a group, the success rate is so much higher if you can keep each other accountable. So we will create pods, smaller groups, to have weekly sessions. And on top of that, I will coach you in one-on-one sessions twice. So if multiple attendees of today's session attend, then you might already see some familiar faces. And a fun fact is that some of the attendees here already joined this program and finished the program. In just 3 months, clients really experience a dramatic shift in their mental fitness to both coaching and using this positive intelligence operating system. And I will share and have you experience another exercise shortly. So, but just imagine having more peace of mind, more attention for your well-being, being able to maintain more healthy relationships with the people around you. And this is all for an investment of $1,399. So that's 6 weeks plus a 7th week where we evaluate and celebrate, and 2 coaching sessions. So this program is called Mental Fitness for a reason. And I'll use a a physical fitness analogy to help you understand the idea of mental fitness. And if you want, for this exercise, you can switch off your camera. I will switch off mine too. But if you are used to running outside and climbing an average sized hill in your walks, if you have an average level of fitness, then climbing up that hill won't be a problem for you. And you do it every day. However, if you suddenly decide to climb a steep mountain and only have an average level of fitness, it would be incredibly difficult. So to climb that mountain would require a pretty high level of physical fitness that you need to sustain by summiting a number of tall mountains. And similarly, you would need a high level of mental fitness to scale a mountain of stress and anxiety. So you would need to build up that high level of mental fitness over time and do different sorts of exercise. So this positive intelligence program is really about building up your mental fitness. So at the root of mental fitness, there are 3 core muscles, and one of them is the saboteur interceptor. And that means that you catch yourself when you have negative thoughts, when you feel embarrassed, when you judge yourself, when you judge others or a circumstance. The second are the sage muscles. So that's also when you tap into that essence being of yourself, really using empathy is one of them, or reframing a situation. And then the third is the self-command muscle. And that means that you're able to then also really do something with it. So to get in action. And so the author of this positive intelligence program, that's Georgette Gamin, he came up with saboteurs and sage. And I'll
Saskia, you're muted. Saskia, you're muted.
I was just checking if you're paying attention.
Yeah, I am.
So your saboteurs and your sage live in different parts of your brain. And the saboteurs live on the left side of your brain. And that's the part of your brain known as your survival brain. And then your sage, on the other hand, lives more in parts of the right brain. And the saboteurs motivate you through negative emotions like fear or stress, anger, guilt, shame, and insecurity, all the nasty stuff. And then the sage, however, motivates you through positive emotions like empathy, what we have been working on today, or curiosity, creativity, self-love, passion, and purpose. So now here's the question. How have you been motivating yourself mostly? Is it your saboteurs pushing you and running the show, or the sage? And then remember that both can move you forward, but in very different ways. So you can move forward through negative emotions and in a way create success and results, but in very different ways with very different outcomes, meaning your saboteurs might help you generate success, but not happiness. And now, before we fully end our session, I would like you to experience a reset exercise together. And I'll share a short mindfulness practice, an exercise you will be doing a few times a day, right when you are in the busiest moment of your day, when you're being hijacked by these saboteurs that will just have you go and push yourself forward. So in this case, you have experienced it in part already. And while you have been listening to me and maybe some thoughts came up, if you right now sit comfortably with your spine straight again, but relaxed on your chair, have your feet be flat on the floor, and then close your eyes whenever you feel ready. Just notice the weight of your body on your seat. Feel your sit bones, really connecting with your seat. And then feel your feet on the floor, feel the weight of the feet on the floor. And so long as you're paying attention to your feet, try to find as many of your beautiful toes and wiggle them as you need to find as many of your toes as you can. Now, again, gently rub your fingers together with such a tension that you can feel the fingertip ridges on both fingers. Now rub all the fingertips of one hand against the fingertips and the palm of the other hand and feel all the sensations of touch. And if your mind wanders, that's perfectly normal, but redirect yourself to only checking in on that sensation of touch in your palms, in your fingertips. Now take your right hand and place it over your heart and notice your heartbeat. And if you don't feel your heartbeat, this is perfectly normal. Your heartbeat might be very subtle, so you might want to move your hand around or press a bit harder. Keep noticing your heartbeat. As thoughts come, gently let them go and refocus. Now place your hand on your stomach and notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest and stomach with each breath. Take a couple of deep breaths. One more. And then let your breath settle into this natural, relaxed rhythm. And take your time. And whenever you feel ready, you may open your eyes and switch on your camera again. So I just wanted to have you experience this exercise. You likely have not been really thinking about what's next tonight, or maybe that thought did wander off and you invited yourself to go back in. So this is what happens often, that we are in the state of mind of just going and pushing ourselves forward. So doing these resets really grow your capacity to respond to life's challenges with that more positive mindset. And so just imagine you staying clear-headed and focused. And if you notice that you're triggered and be stressed, then do this exercise. That's something you can already do. So if you now maybe later tonight notice that a particular thought comes up, you notice you judge yourself or someone else, then simply go back to the easiest thing I always like is just place my hands on my heart area and just check in with my heartbeat and take a couple of breaths, and then just noticing how you redirect your mind. So if you're interested in finding out more, there's a free assessment, a Saboteur Assessment. So in this image, you can see 9 titles of saboteurs. And so these are all ways of being that can show up when you're hijacked. So think about being really perfectionistic or very rational or pleaser, wanting to be in control and really struggling with letting go of how the outcome of things are. And mind you, it's really great to, think ahead and want to have things succeed. But you will realize when it's coming from a fear-based place versus a really laser-focused, determined, inspired way of moving forward. So that's what you're actually going to learn. So that Saboteur Assessment only takes 2 minutes. It will give you an overview like this, but then a whole description. I know some of the attendees of tonight already did that Saboteur Assessment, and it might then be interesting for yourself already to see like when do they show up, and what would it be like if you would choose to be more loving and compassionate towards yourself? What is the most loving and compassionate thing I could do when I'm in that mode of control and feeling that fear of failure? So last but not least, I have 12 spots available in a cohort that starts on the 1st of March. So if you're interested, you can send me a message. This is my email address, my phone number. I have a LinkedIn page and a website that's actually sort of under construction. But I want to thank you so much for attending today's session. And it was such a joy to have you all be here and embrace the flow and the exercises and further opening up to your loving self. I know Aditi will share a few words later, but I also wanted to, just open up the space for some conversation right now and see if there are any questions you might have about what we shared tonight. So since this is also community building, and I know some of you are here for the first time, that might be very nice. So is there anyone who would like to reflect on tonight's session? And it's for you afternoon, I realize.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. Any comments, questions, how much you enjoyed it.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I would love to share something. Sorry I didn't join with the camera and all. I was busy with the kids running around, but I heard everything and I couldn't join all the exercises. So I took a screenshot of the writing the love letter to myself, and I will definitely do that later. But I want to say I joined the PQ, the Positive Intelligence program earlier with Saskia, and I really love it, and I still practice with all the tools and the mindfulness exercises. And so a lot of these exercises were familiar to me, but still they are great. And I'm really curious to that love letter. Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
what I wanted to share. Yeah, it makes me so happy, all these. And also because I think there was a question from someone about the negative thoughts, why that's easier. It seems like it's easier. We need to remind ourselves to get out of the negative thoughts and try to be more positive. And I think that program you are offering is really giving insights in how that works and make you more aware of how your brain is functioning and what saboteurs you have. Like for now, I have a lot of times I remind myself like, oh, I'm doing it again. There's my saboteur again. And I can even smile about it now. So thank you again so much.
Yeah. But I loved how you said that, because that's the thing. It's also, it helps you normalize that you have these thoughts, and we all have these judgmental thoughts, this judge that always shows up in unforeseen moments, or moments you can actually start predicting he or she will show up.
Yeah.
But then, being able to laugh and say, hey, there's the judge again. Here we go. No surprise. I know this voice. I know what you're saying. And I have another strategy. I have another truth.
Yeah, exactly. It's really bringing you a little bit farther apart from from your thoughts. Like, oh, I have a choice in this. I can respond the way I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. Very helpful. Thank you.
Great. Well, I realized that looking at time, we could have spent more time writing that letter. And I wondered how many of you are still in the midst of writing that letter? Maybe you can just raise your hand and show by raising your hand. Yeah, so there are a couple of people who are going to continue to write. That's great. So, yeah.
We have a question in the chat, Saskia.
Yeah.
I saw, Mansi, you had come off mute as well. Did you have a question?
I wanted to say how revealing it was, how much we do not give self-love to ourselves, how much we don't recognize all the things that we do and are always focused on all the things that we do not do, or, as Saskia pointed out, listen to the judge all the time. So it was very revealing, and I was very emotional session for me, especially. I was tearing up all the time, looking at myself and recognizing the things that Saskia was saying in the background. And I was like, oh my goodness, that is not something I've noticed before. So it was a great session for me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
that. So was there a specific part in the session where you noticed that you managed to connect with self-love? There was a moment, for example, where in the visualization, we ask you to anchor, to see where you can feel in your body that connection with, for example, the younger version of you, or whatever the subject is you chose.
It was, I had this, I don't have the picture, but I have this old picture that that's in my mom's house of me and my sister, and we were wearing those really kitty like jumpers and stuff, and we were, my sister's head is shaved because that's the thing we do in India when you're young, and we're both toddlers, and she's younger and I'm standing in behind her, and we're laughing, and we're doing silly things at that time. And that's when my dad had taken that picture, and that was the picture I was thinking of. And I was remembering how very fearlessly happy I was. I was just not afraid, not worrying, not thinking about anything else. I was just in that moment and happy. And that is what I connected with in the session. And that is what I feel is where I want to be every day of my life, where I want to be more free of all the, like the judge that you said, and all
Yes.
the worrying and all the thinking. And I just want to be fearlessly happy in the moment that I'm enjoying at that time. So that was really also very, very emotional for me again. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And
We have one more question,
oh,
Saskia.
yeah.
It's from Yannicke. Once you know what your saboteurs are, how do you get to a place where you listen more to your sage?
Yes, so great question. So what happens is the easiest way to say is when you spot it, you got it, is once you start recognizing the voices of the saboteurs. And when you do the saboteur assessment, you will also see the underlying lies. The lie they tell you that probably is a fix on the short notice, but it's not providing you happiness in the long run. So to give you an example, one of my saboteurs is the restless, which means that I always see interesting things and I go from the one shiny thing to the next. And I'm super enthused about it. I'm one of those people who reads multiple books at the same time, but I never finish them. So there's this first instance where I feel like, oh yes, I'm going to dive into this book, and then someone shares so passionate about something. I feel like, oh, I totally get it. I find this fascinating, but it's not providing me that fulfillment. So where I might feel like I am living life to the fullest and I want to experience everything, I don't want to miss out, I'm actually doing the opposite. So I'm stepping in everything for everywhere for 30%. So I really have to catch myself. And what it does for me is that I now know that this is one of the lies I keep telling myself. So just saying more often no is one of the things I do now. And where before someone would have, maybe recommended me to say, Saskia, maybe you should just finish them and say no next time. Now I have more understanding of why that is so important and what it's bringing me in return. So it's actually being able to see that it's actually bringing me more results to do something that feels like a contradiction. And that's the same for example, a hyperachiever that might want to go for results all of the time. And then the concession is that it might take a lot of time. So these are people who work long hours and experience a lot of stress. And their fear is also to not live life to the fullest and not deliver, but they are robbing themselves from an experience. And so it's by getting more insight, noticing your saboteurs, then the next step is actually to do an exercise, a PQ rep, as we call them, a reset exercise. And these are meant to be short, 2 minutes, where you disrupt the cycle, where you're being hijacked by a saboteur. So you catch them, so you learn about them, you catch them, you pause, and then you're able to shift. So what happens is actually there's a neurological pathway that goes from the trigger to, oh, more books, to, oh, okay, let's do a reset. No, let's just focus and be calm, focused, and enjoy this book. And I'll do that next time. So that's just the simplest answer, I think, for now. Yeah, and then you have all your made to measure ways of applying, of course.
So doing this exercise once today, it's more of a, you kind of want to keep doing it as you go along and learn to take that pause, like, oh, why am I doing this? Oh, it's a saboteur and it's happening right now. And then doing that reset. Yeah.
And you're overriding those neurological pathways. So where there's a trigger and going, towards that saboteur behavior, you're now pausing and then creating a new direction towards that place where you're actually either being more mindful of yourself, speaking outward with a different load, just showing up in your being in a way more powerful form. Yeah. And you can start to learn doing these reps also, for example, while we are meeting right now. So, I might place my hand here while we are talking, and it might really be, for you, a gesture of me doing this while I try to calm myself down and be more grounded in this moment. Or, you use rubbing your fingertips against each other, or just observing someone with attention. So, yeah. Any other questions or comments or?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes,
okay, yeah.
ahead.
So how can I register for this positive intelligence session?
So you can do so by sending me a message, or you can leave your contact details even in the chat, and I'll connect with you. And then we can continue the conversation. So happy to hear you're interested and see how it might support you too.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Aditi and Dipali for organizing such a beautiful workshop, and thanks Saskia. Because of you, I didn't have the pictures, but I took a printout of a lot of pictures of mine, and got an opportunity to connect myself, when I was a kid. So, and that was a very, very beautiful experience. And thank you so much for that. And
That's beautiful.
and all the exercises that you did in, you're such a soothing voice, that itself took me to, where you feel like, okay, you love yourself more. So thank you so much for this experience. Thank you.
I'm happy that it worked for you like that. And about the childhood picture, what I want to share with you is it's really fun, and we can do that right now, to imagine every one of us being a child. So just, connect with another person. And it's a great way of also finding empathy for someone else, however they show up. And then, if people show up showing their saboteur behavior, it's also because they protect something and they learn something. So there is always this chain reaction. And by focusing then on, for example, imagining who the little child is, it might give you a point of entry to trying to understand that there's maybe hurt in the reason for choosing a particular tone of voice or words, and have more understanding. So, and being able to do so while you show up like that, you could even circle it back to self-love, because you're making it easier for yourself too to deal with the circumstance, and choose to look with different eyes at a person and not judge them, because that's what happens. We judge ourselves and we judge others. So, yeah.
All right. Well, If there are no questions, we can wrap up. So first of all, on behalf of everyone at the We Are Pistachio team and all of us here, heartfelt gratitude to you, Saskia. Thank you for leading us through this session with grace and just helping us give ourselves that gift of self-love. I know I was very emotional. I know I very rarely get time to reflect because I'm always busy giving and doing for others. So I know I appreciated this and I speak for everyone in the room. So thank you again. We are so fortunate to have you as a pistachio mentor and share with us. And to all our attendees who showed up here on a Friday evening, that shows your commitment to your own growth and your self-love. So we salute you. You inspire us. You all are the reason why Deepali, myself, and the entire community, it just keeps us going because of all the encouragement you provide us. There's a lot of hard work we do behind the scenes, and moments like these just make it worth it. um, I just have one more thing to say. We have our next event, and then we can hang out for about 5 minutes. But we have our next event, which is speed mentoring. It was our most popular event about 4 months ago, and we often wonder sometimes we need advice from relocating spouses. Maybe somebody's been a coach and you need a quick advice. Maybe somebody's had a career in HR and you might need advice. So we're bringing this to you on Wednesday, February 24th, where you will get 2 15-minute one-to-one sessions with pistachio mentors. Saskia is one of them. Bhavna is one of them. There's several here in the room who've attended our last one. We've got early bird pricing going on, and Deepali is going to drop the registration link here. We've got mentors from HR, from software engineering, product managers, entrepreneurs, financial analysts, project managers, learning and development. We've got all the mentors, and we're bringing them to give you advice. So do register and do let us know if you have any questions. And with that, thank you everyone once again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Deepali and Aditi. Just before I'm so grateful for you organizing this and bringing all these wonderful women together. I also want to give a special shout out to Joy signing up last minute. And I'm so glad that you're part of this positive community, and there are some really wonderful events. So it would be lovely to see you again in the future.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and this is my first event attending with all of you guys. So this was wonderful. It was such a beautiful experience. So thank you so much for pulling this